Just have fun with it.
We always do.
We need the wine, right?
We already did.
Yeah, that's right. Hi everyone, it's Dr. Mike Reid from Chiropractic Masters, and this is Dr. Cherine Vanwagner of Health First Chiropractic, who will be speaking at our Prosperity Blueprint event. And I wanted to do this interview today to share with you what I believe is the next level in chiropractic. If you've already seen the video, you can go back in some of our Facebook posts and look at the walkthrough of the practice, but she has created this absolutely beautiful practice that is using many of the CMI principles. And I wanted to interview Dr. Cherine so that you get an idea for those of you who are looking at changing your practices or at least applying some of these principles, that you can also do the same. And Cherine, thank you for doing this interview with me.
Of course.
So Cherine, let's talk about some of the principles, and we can talk about 6 principles and give them a bonus. The very first one is the doctor's office, going from the static closed room approach to having an experience. So maybe you can talk to the audience about what we've done with that sort of new experience in your practice.
Well, I've actually done all of it. So I started 15 years ago in completely closed rooms. And I don't know if any of you have ever had closed rooms, but you're adjusting, next thing you know it, 15 minutes later, you're still in the room talking, and you want to help out your patients, but then sometimes it takes a turn and it goes from chiropractic to something else, and you have another patient waiting, and then next thing you know it, in the waiting room you got 20 people building up.
And you can't even see the reception room. And the way we've designed your office is the reception room. It's not a waiting. They should never wait. It's a reception room. Is in front of your T-bar.
Yes, and so, then we went to the half walls where it was still 2 separate rooms, and then that cut down the time a little bit more. And then now what we have is we have it where the patients walk in and they sign in and they go directly back to the patient waiting adjusting area. So it's literally only the patients who are being adjusted go into this area. So it's absolutely fantastic because they're not waiting behind new patients or anyone else. And that means that they're up and ready to get their adjustments. So it's been absolutely fantastic. It's cut down my adjustments literally to less than 2 minutes.
And that's the next thing we want to talk about, because, when I coach doctors, one of the biggest challenges they have is the old closed room. And we've gone, and this is our second point we wanted to share, we've gone to a T-bar. And you have dramatically decreased your adjustment time. And I want you to talk about that and how that T-bar experience allows you to move to the next patient and increase your, in a sense, productivity without compromising patient care.
Actually, I think the care is better because it's really amazing when you are taking care of your patients, you're educating them, right? And then you're educating the patient next to them, and you're also educating everyone who's sitting in front of the T-bar.
Right.
So it's absolutely fantastic because everyone's like, oh, that's really great. Hey, doc, can I do that too? Absolutely, you can do that. So if I give an exercise or if I give a nutritional tip, every single person in the area is learning about it. Also, it keeps the negativity down and the positivity up. So what I've noticed is that all negative talk has completely 100% left my practice. And everyone who's in my practice, nothing but positive talk is coming out. And I always thought that I had positive patients, but I didn't realize how much more they could be. So it's really been fantastic seeing that. That's probably been one of the greatest
your
things.
adjustment time has decreased.
2 minutes is my longest now.
2 minutes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's 30 people per hour. That's phenomenal. It's a really great practice.
Right. And everyone's still getting the same
Yeah.
quality, wonderful adjustment. The difference is I'm not wasting time saying the same things over and over and over again. That's the biggest difference.
In our pre-interview, we talked about the difference in the camaraderie that we now have with your patients. And I thought that was a really special point that you brought up, that you've noticed.
Right.
So maybe you can comment on that.
Well, it was funny. I think the biggest comment that I've gotten today, this was just this morning, I think I had 7 people say that we better have a Christmas party here because everyone wants to stay. They want to be here. They love the feel. They love the flow. They think it's just, they said, I want my house to look like this. They feel comfortable. And I think that's the hugest thing. But then also, all of my patients were talking, but they were all talking about chiropractic. And they were talking about their kids getting adjusted and this and that, or their mother, they need to bring them in. And it was much closer knit, and our patients actually were talking to each other instead of sitting in like a stale waiting room. It was, it's awesome.
And that's really changing, everything about the practice. We're going to talk about some of the benefits in a minute, but we also want to talk about flow, because we have changed that whole pay-per-visit, heavy in insurance reliance, especially for the American doctors that want to move more to a cash. We have gone more pre-planned, prepaid, pre-booked.
Yes.
And we've separated check-in, check-out, and separated front desk from the adjustment area. So let's comment on that, because that's been huge.
Well, check-in, check-out, that's something that we had in our last practice as well. That's an absolute mandatory. I don't care what kind of practice you have, closed room, open room, you have got to do prepaid, pre-booked. It saves so much time, and also it's really good for the patients because it puts their mind at ease with where their money is. It's they just have automatic payments come out, or they pay up front in one single payment, and then there's no stress. It's not that they feel like their checkbook or their account's being charged every single time. And I love that, and my patients love it too. I don't know anyone who doesn't like that. It's just absolutely wonderful.
And it makes sense too, because that can be a bottleneck at the front desk if you have 3, 4, 5 people changing appointments, having to pay, and the CAs are frustrated. Now you've got check-in and check-out that are separated on the front desk. People come in, they get adjusted, they leave, and all you need is a confirmation by the doctor in the front desk for the next appointment, so they're able to get in and get out. Well,
the biggest thing with that also is when you have a new patient coming in, if you only have like a check-in, right? When you have a new patient coming in, there's an existing patient who's checking out, and they take up the full front desk by like setting their purse next to the side. You have a new patient who's waiting behind them, and it's kind of intimidating. You're sitting there waiting, kind of like, okay, well, I'll get there. They're already anxious to begin with. So this makes it a process where when they're checking out, they're on the other side, so the full space, the full attention is completely on that new patient when they're coming in, or completely on that current patient who's coming in, saying hello, welcome them to the practice, saying good morning. Everything is focused on them entering, and then also there's someone else doing it when they check out. It completely changes the flow.
You know, one of the things I've talked about in the past, when you're rebranding yourself on a regular basis, we talk about rebranding. That rebranding is really reinvesting in yourself, at least 5% of your income every 5 to 7 years, right? And either whether it's equipment or coaching or, you know, whatever you're doing, a new office redesign. Let's talk about that, because you mentioned to me when I was talking to you about every 5 years you've done this for yourself.
Right. Well, coaching is something that I think is mandatory all the time. That's just, you always need a leader with anything that you do. Any business needs that. So that I would have to say is always a stationary. You should always be improving yourself. But when it comes to your practice, you really should reinvest in your practice, because you need to create more life in it. Give the patients something to talk about. Really make that experience great, because everything becomes stale. Even if you start with a beautiful practice, at one point it does become stale. If you look, you don't decorate your house like you did in the 80s. There's a change. And you have to stay up with the times to show that you are current. When your office and the decor and everything else becomes uncurrent, when it's past, then it looks like you've stopped. So you have to give the perception that you are constantly reinventing yourself, reinventing your practice, and that you are invested in your business, because then patients feel like you're more invested in them. And I think that is so important. I do it every single 5 years without fail. I have never passed 5 years.
Maximum 7. And that all of this accumulates to point number 6 I want to talk about. And it's one of those things that when you have this in your practice, there's a certain spark in the air, and that is energy. And that energy, because you're in a happier state, it's like the clothes you wear, or it's the environment which you have built, or, you know, it's the aura. I mean, we have windows here, we have natural light, we have green. You know,
who doesn't love new?
Who doesn't love new? And the effect that we heard, and we heard it from a patient today, Tamara, and she said to you,
she said, I don't want to leave. I just want to stay here. This has made my day. It's been such an experience. And that was exactly what we were looking for. When I set my mind out on building this new practice, I wanted to create what I called a Starbucks spa. Because Starbucks said that they're not in the coffee business, they're in the people business. And I know that's old, but it still works. It's so true. That's how it should be with every business. You are in the people business. And so you want to create that experience for people where they want to go there. They want to feel like they could stay forever. But yet you also want to create a business and create the process where it is so efficient, every single person has their job, that it moves the patients through in such an efficient way where they don't feel rushed, they don't feel like they're being pushed or anything else. You still have that full experience. And I think Starbucks has been really good at doing with that, and so that's what I wanted to create, was that Starbucks spa.
And what's interesting is because when you take all the points we just talked about and the change in the dynamics of the flow of the practice, in the experience of the patients, we applied, this is a bonus for all of you. If you haven't done this, you just got to try this. We did a Bring a Friend and Family Member month. Now, it was from one of my clients who did this, took it from a week and did it to a month. And this is 1 week in this brand new practice.
Yeah.
We applied this principle. We just gave out little hand cards, health passes, that were Bring a Friend and Family Member month for the month of October. And the end effect, what happened this week?
Well, right now we already have 15 new patients, and that's just referrals from our current patients. That is not including any of the new patients we've gotten from any of our other marketing or anything else. That's just from the current patients. And what I find amazing about this is that the people who referred people in have been in my practice for a while. And we've been trying to get their family members or their friends in. They've been with me, for some of them, for many years. And then all of a sudden we make this shift, we make this change, like, oh, I've got to get my wife in here. Oh, I've got to get my husband in here. And it's amazing. We've already started up 5 people, actually, and that was just from Wednesday. And
Yeah.
it was great to see that.
So
that little push, the
that
little change.
That
it
little
shows,
change.
Yeah.
And it made this great results, applying some of my marketing principles. And anybody here can apply those same principles too. So hopefully you're going to get 1, 2, or 3 points out of this. Try that bonus point. It will make a difference. One of my top doctors who took this marketing tool and extrapolated over a month got 72 new ones in the month of July. And we're going to talk more about this at Blueprint and Prosperity. That's October 28th, 29th. It's in Toronto. Make sure you go to chiropractic-masters.com. You'll see the pop-up at the top, or you can go to the very bottom under the events and find out more about Prosperity. It is limited to the first 60 guest doctors. That seminar will give you a business planner to help reverse engineer, plus all the best practices, including some of the top social media tools that we're using in our practices to help you build a practice of your dreams. So, Dr. Cherine, thank you for this interview, and thank you for sharing with our chiropractic kin. And hopefully you guys will join us in Prosperity, or at least use some of these principles. So until the next training video and practice tip, guys, keep practicing with passion. Thank you.